Thanks once again for dropping by the channel. If you like the content, if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe, share the video if you enjoyed, if you felt it was useful. Now let's get into this. So, no sooner did I finish recording and editing my video about Tyson Fury basically not being on the pound for pound list, mentioned Oleksandr Usyk on that as well, and how where kind of Usyk sat into that. Mike Coppinger, you're going to see the tweet on screen here. I'm just going to read it verbatim. As Mike Coppinger is quoting that the Oleksandr Usyk versus Dereck Chisora fight is a done deal for the 23rd of May at the O2 Arena in London per Eddie Hearn. Now, he's not quoting his sources for that. Could be IFL, could be Boxing Social, you know, one of these early setbacks, someone like that. And he says it will be streamed by DAZN stateside, of course, and Sky Sports pay-per-view in the UK, Sky Box Office. So, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this from every aspect in terms of where it's going to be, pay-per-view, and the fighting itself. He hasn't mentioned any titles or anything like that, but you would imagine this would be probably a final eliminator, or, you know, maybe they'll give him an interim title, who knows. I wouldn't rule that out, to be honest with you. So the fight's set to take place on May 23rd, so the end of May. They were talking about March, if memory serves me correct. They were actually talking about the 7th of March in Manchester, which, that made no sense to me. You know, having the fight in March, obviously, but we didn't know Usyk was, you know, having, you know, injuries, quote unquote. But Manchester made no sense to me. You know, because Dereck Chisora is a big name in London. You know, they sing his name in the O2. We could fill the O2 out. Oleksandr Usyk still not exactly known to the British public. He's known for knocking out Tony Bellew. I believe that was actually in Manchester. But realistically, he's not a star by no stretch of the imagination. So having this fight in London to me makes the most sense. So I can see where you're coming from with that. In terms of pay-per-view, I'm not surprised. You know, I think Sky have a limited amount of pay-per-views they can put on a year. So if you figure AJ, if he fights twice a year, maybe once a year, there's 2 pay-per-views. Dylan White, there's 4. So we'll say both those guys fight twice a year. There's some slots there to be filled. You know, I don't know if they need to do, you know, 5 pay-per-views a year or anything like that. I'm not 100% sure. But is a pay-per-view worthy fight? I mean, Oleksandr Usyk certainly isn't the most well-known fighter to the British public, it has to be said. He's only had one fight at heavyweight, and against Chez Witherspoon. I didn't think he looked too bad in that fight. Yeah, he didn't look amazing, but bearing in mind he'd been out of the ring a year, he had to shake off an injury, his first fight at heavyweight. So, you know, for not blowing Chez Witherspoon out of there, which he was never gonna do, you know, I'm not exactly going to be that critical of him. I definitely think he should look better against Dereck Chisora, and I think it's going to be an interesting fight. I definitely do. I think Chisora is not going to let Usyk have a minute. I'd be interested to see how Usyk copes with that, because he'll probably do a lot of moving. He's probably not going to stand and trade with Chisora, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes from there. In terms of pay-per-view, I mean, one fighter has 9 losses. Right? You're a pay-per-view where one fighter has 9 losses. Chisora, he literally at this stage is the cat with 9 lives, because he's 9 losses. And he's fighting in pay-per-views. Still, headlining pay-per-views. You know, when that Joseph Parker fight was announced, he made a big issue with that press conference about it not being the main event. And people were backing him. People were saying, you know what, yeah, you know, 2 heavyweights, a good fight like that should be the main event over Prograis Taylor. And obviously Prograis Taylor turned out to be a great fight. And obviously we never got to see Parker versus Chisora. But Chisora at this stage, he still has that sway with the British fans. You know, he reinvents himself. You know, he went from being Del Boy to War Chisora. He has, you know, 1 or 2 good performances, and people forget those losses. You know, which is, it does kind of go against the narrative. You know, especially that that's, you know, churned out kind of amongst these PBC guys that a loss is the end of the world. It's not. You know, at the end of the day, if you are someone who is loud, abrasive, and you have fights, subsequent fights, that kind of erase the memory of that defeat, you can keep going. Look at Chisora. I mean, bear in mind, 4 or 5 years ago, they were talking about having him, you know, fight, who was it, Joe Joyce, 4 or 5 years ago, it was only like 2 years ago, having him fight Joe Joyce. And, you know, they were offering like 100 grand, and they were saying, you know, that's a good offer, take that as kind of, you know, cannon fodder. And at the end of that year, he ended up fighting Dylan White in a pay-per-view. Loses that fight, you know, fast forward, what, a year and a half later, fighting Oleksandr Usyk on pay-per-view. It's pretty incredible that he's able to keep going. You know, he really is the cat with 9 lives. I'm just hoping my phone doesn't die, because it is low battery. It is very low battery. So in terms of all that, in terms of the fight itself, I've kind of touched on that. You know, I mean, one of the comments I see here says first round knockout by Chisora. Hell no. That ain't going to happen. No hope. It'd be interesting. But another comment I see here is that if White Povetkin, I couldn't get out his name there. If White Povetkin gets made in April, we'll have 2 pay-per-views in 2 months. And then we'll probably have a third end of AJ fights Pulev. So we're talking about 3 pay-per-views in 3 months. So it's pretty dear going. You know, if you're looking to pay for them all, you know, they'd obviously alternate the prices. They wouldn't all be a set like £25 or anything like that. They'd probably alternate them. They'd probably go. To be honest, they probably do. Povetkin, probably White, probably the cheapest, but it goes slightly up for Usyk. I don't know if they can do that or not. Maybe I'm just overthinking things. Something that I do a hell of a lot is overthink. I overthink the shit out of everything. You know, it's one of my biggest flaws. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on this. Chisora versus Usyk. I don't mind it. I would rather see Chisora versus Parker, but I don't mind it. It's a decent fight. Be interesting to see how Usyk copes with Dereck Chisora with his style. Because Chisora's he's not gonna let up. You know, he's not in his prime, but he's not gonna let up. It's gonna be a good fight. Now I'm interested to see it. So looking likely May 23rd. I might even try and get over for that fight because May is a busy month for me. You know, I'm going to be over in London regardless. At the start of that month, there's a show on over here in Ireland that I'm going to try and get some media work on. And then we'd have this fight. So I might even try and get back over to London for that. So it could be an interesting month, the month of May. So we'll have to wait and see. Let me know your thoughts down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, of course, if you are new. And as always, I will talk to you after.